I seriously didn't know that things got this bad for this Rachel Zegler Snow White movie, but I'm reading this right now, and I'm worried about Rachel Zegler's career. I don't see how she comes back from this.
There are empty theaters all around the country. We are now at a 1 out of 10 on IMDb for the new Snow White, and couldn't happen to a better person.
She doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
Every time she speaks, she gets less likable.
She's now bragging about the success of Snow White, which is a movie that's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. And mainly because of her, and because nobody wanted to support her.
Controversy around the film began ever since we learned that there would be no Prince Charming because apparently he kissed her without consent, and also no woman needs a man to rescue her. The movie also used CGI for the 7 dwarfs rather than actors because they thought using real people would be offensive.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat. Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
And if she hadn't have opened her mouth, I think that this movie might have done well. They might have just been able to ride on the hopium of the movie and some well-cut trailers, and people would have paid to go see it. And then it would have fallen off when people knew it was garbage.
I don't think they're going to buy it. I don't think they're going to watch it. I don't think they're going to like it.
But Rachel Zegler made it so hateable that you really sabotaged and took hundreds of millions of dollars from the studio. I don't know how anyone would ever want to go into business with her ever.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
Yeah, we had more dwarfs than we did viewers in most of these theaters. And as you know, there were no dwarfs other than some CGI weird generated version of them.
You know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
Do you know how hard it is to find an attractive young woman in Hollywood who can act and sin? It's not hard. Who just isn't going to offend half the country.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
Disney's Bob Iger says their mission is to entertain, not send messaging as Snow White sales compete for worst performing live-action Disney adaptation ever.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed. She's unhappy. The reality is she's just not stable. Like the majority of people in Hollywood, they're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
Don't alienate half of the country when you're putting out a product meant to appeal to all. It's the Michael Jordan Republicans buy sneakers too. They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
Some of you want us to hire actual dwarf humans, and then we thought we would have CGI magical creatures. How about this? We'll still offend the dwarves, but we'll CGI dwarf.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, how badly did Disney's new Snow White flop after all?
If you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it. You didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White.
Right.
You should shut up and do the job.
Disney's catching flack from every direction. And this time it's not just a minor backlash, it's a full-blown catastrophe. Independent shop owners across the nation are yanking everything. Snow White off their displays gone. And truthfully, can you fault them? This isn't just about a fairy tale anymore. It's about a complete PR nightmare. So what transpired? Oh, brace yourself. Disney thought they were being creative by giving Snow White a contemporary spin. But instead of refreshing the narrative, they essentially torched the classic on fire and pranced on its remains. No dwarves, no allure, no blissful ever after. Just disorder, and right in the center of the chaos, Rachel Zegler. Yep, her once more. She's plummeted from rising talent to the symbol of Disney's collapse in record speed. She's been behaving like the entire company was created, just so she could appear, deliver a few phrases, swirl in a gown, and claim a paycheck, and audiences are not thrilled. One fan even quipped that Rachel views Disney like her personal style patron. She merely arrives, showcases the outfit, and bolts. And truthfully, it's not far.
Every one of the 18 hours I am in this Snow White dress, I expect to get paid. If it's 18 hours, I want 18 hours of pay. I'm sure she got underpaid as a Disney lead actor.
Now, if you reckon we're being overblown, hang tight. This entire fiasco is messier than a reunion installment of Real Housewives, and the gossip is still flowing. Disney's been making questionable calls for a spell. But this one might be their grandest flop yet, and the web is slamming them for it. Folks are labeling it oblivious, sloppy, even offensive. And for a brand that forged its name on enchantment, that's not a great appearance. So yeah, the House of Mouse may require a total rebranding charm after this one, and we're merely warming up. Did Disney genuinely believe nobody would spot them squandering millions down the drain swifter than you can utter once upon a dream? Like, honestly, did they assume the viewers were clueless? Let's rewind real fast. The classic Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs wasn't just some obscure animation. That film erected the Disney empire. We're discussing 1937 icon status. It was the bedrock of the entire fantasy juggernaut. Tampering with that, that's like meddling with grandma's treasured pie formula. You alter one component and boom, you've just ignited a family feud that'll be recounted for ages. But did Disney hesitate? Not even a smidge. They pressed go on a remake that's being roasted. Fiercer than a terrible lip sync on live broadcast. Test viewers didn't term it a film. They dubbed it a TikTok montage with a story crisis. No warmth, no essence, just a jumble of popular visuals and haphazard cuts. One individual bluntly stated it. Seemed like the algorithm helmed it.
A few lessons for Disney. Number one, stop cannibalizing all your old IP. Like, it's really bad. It's really bad business. Number two, please stop changing all of the historic plots, which actually have meaning to generations of people, to instead become generic woke story about how woman leads revolutionary uprising and she don't need no man.
No man. Now here's the crazy twist. Instead of admitting, okay, maybe we botched it, Disney went full oblivious mode. They dumped even more funds into salvaging it, more PR, more post-production, more deflection, like they thought a touch of sparkle could conceal the reality that the whole project was crumbling. Per insiders, Disney believed the title alone, the brand was invincible, that anything with the castle emblem would instantly triumph. Spoiler alert, it flopped. Fans swooped in like virtual marksmen, pinpointing every frail point and exposing it digitally. The performances deemed lackluster. The script scorched the mood awkward with a dash of franticness, as one viral remark framed it. Turns out this fairy tale wasn't impervious. It was riddled with flaws, and the internet didn't restrain one iota. Now let's discuss the financial carnage. Snow White. 2025 is lining up to be one of Disney's priciest sinkholes ever. We're talking a debacle so dire you can nearly hear the suits grinding. Their teeth in those sleek boardrooms. Each time a fresh box office prediction lands, it's bleaker than the prior early audiences storming out of nearly vacant cinemas, looking stunned like they just endured a student project directed by a baffled mime. Some claimed it felt like an art house fever vision, but in the worst way imaginable.
Next story is Snow White. Snow White bombs, breaks records for the lowest live-action remake opening ever. Let me say that again, ever.
I mean, look at this right here. Snow White crashes 70% in second weekend box office.
And then arrived the IMDb critiques. Ouch. The film's score nosedived to a staggering 6 out of 10. Like the whole web convened and resolved to toast this movie into cinders. Critique after critique says the direction is so peculiar even folks who typically adore quirky cinema can't justify this one. Social platforms are swamped with posts declaring it's the starkest evidence yet that Disney's magic wand might finally be drained. And oh, the memes unrivaled. People are mocking the woke dwarfs for skipping the film, likening the plot to a classroom skit penned during detention, and calling the imagery Netflix thriller filter vibes. And it's not merely the tail-catching flack fans are torching the tone, the lighting, even the camera. Perspectives, everything about it shrieks, costly blunder. And if you figured maybe it still had a chance? Yeah, not looking promising. People are saying the narrative is such a frenzied wreck. It feels like an overstimulated intern spliced and glued. Clips from 3 entirely distinct films. One moment Snow White's belting out a pop tune like she's vying for the voice, and the next she's ensnared in some grim dystopian terrain that appears like it was lifted from a discarded sci-fi draft. It's exuding major identity meltdown. And forget about the gallant prince, he's vanished, erased, replaced by a clunky empowerment arc that feels as tacked on as a celebrity cameo nobody requested.
Zoom in right there, that's it. 163,000 rating, of which it got 1.6, not out of 5. Like, you know, sometimes you go to McDonald's, it's 1.6 out of 5.
Yeah.
1.6 out of 10.
Because once more, look at this right here. This movie has crashed in the second week that it's been out. 70% this movie crashed.
Reviewers aren't holding back either. They're stating it's not even about elevating fierce female figures anymore. It's just a massive blinking banner of a message that smashes into the storyline, like a rig with no brakes. And that final dance sequence, oh, don't even get me going. Everyone's gliding around in all-white garb like they mistakenly strolled off the set of a cheap cult documentary. One dude exiting the cinema muttered, "That's 30 seconds I'll never reclaim." And honestly, he wasn't solo. At this juncture, you'd think Disney would have grasped that tampering too much with a masterpiece usually ends in catastrophe. But nope.
The movie went over budget, right? Went over about $250 million. They had the whole dwarf midget issue where they decided they weren't going to have any midget actors, right? They were having DEI-inspired magical creatures to replace.
Yeah. I remember back in 2023 when this was going on and all the little people making videos saying, well, wait, there's so few roles for us in Hollywood. We're being passed over for this. You could have cast 7 little
Peter
people.
Dinklage.
Here we are. It appears nobody relayed the "don't wreck a classic" note. And at the core of this entire tempest, Rachel Zegler, crowned by the web as the queen of controversies, or maybe just queen of dicey remarks. Grab your popcorn because Rachel has officially morphed into a one-woman PR calamity. Yeah, she arrived hot with some early buzz thanks to a few musical gigs. But when it comes to Snow White, her demeanor's been frostier than a deep chiller. She outright called the original tale antiquated and even tossed shade at the prince, saying he emitted creeper vibes. Like, girl, what? There's even that instance where she remarked, "I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is altered and it's more of a 2022 rendition, as if revising history with a cheeky spin suddenly renders it superior." Because nothing screams honoring a heritage like publicly slamming it while pocketing Disney funds. Then she truly amped it up by claiming she deserved compensation. For every hour she donned the Snow White gown, that one did not land well with fans. One livid commenter retorted, "If you loathe the role so much, why accept it?" And truthfully, the internet concurred. Her social media morphed into a full-on battlefield. Critics branded her cocky, and Rachel, she countered, labeling them mired in yesteryear. Yeah, because alienating your future viewers is such a stellar marketing tactic, right?
Her heroine cannot be in love or be saved by a man, the prince, that she's more focused on becoming the leader she was meant to be, as if women in modern day America must make that choice.
Some folks are now claiming the backlash is all part of an orchestrated smear effort. But whether that's factual or not, one thing's evident. This casting pick sparked far more drama than Disney ever anticipated. A lot of people are saying, Rachel Zegler isn't being singled out. She's just wreaking the havoc herself. She's been busy reposting praise from her supporters, like she's on a triumph parade while dismissing everyone else as archaic relics. Yep. If there was ever a masterclass in how not to manage public perception, she's delivering it live. Front row seats, no fees required. Meanwhile, somewhere in the Disney headquarters, the PR crew is probably huddled with the script murmuring, "Please, make it cease." Like they're in a slow-motion thriller flick.